This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 74 of the Wisdom by WESA show on the Horse Radio Network. This is Mike Donnell.
I'm Casey Wilbanks-Coletti.
And this is Sophia Ayala. Welcome to Wisdom by WESA on the Horse Radio Network.
This podcast is brought to you by the Western and English Sales Association, WESA, which provides the world's largest trade events for retailers, manufacturers, and sales representatives of the equestrian industry. In this podcast, we feature exclusive interviews with noteworthy Western and English personalities, retailers, and exhibitors who you've always wanted to talk to. Don't miss out on all the news for manufacturers and retailers in the equine industry. Since our last episode, Sophia has published the post-show report for the August WESA trade show. Sophia is here to share some more details.
Yes, we finished crunching some numbers and ran the last and final registration list. So we welcomed 810 buyers from almost 400 stores, and actually 100 of these stores were new and attended the WESA trade show for the very first time.
And how about the exhibitors?
The exhibitors took over almost 30,000 square feet of the Dallas Market Center, and that was across the 11th floor where we set up 145 temporary spaces, and then the 14th floor and some others where we had 114 exhibitors opening up their showrooms. And then we also had 33 new members who showcased their items for the first time.
Awesome. And there's international attendees and exhibitors also?
Yes, we did have some, but of course that number is still quite low in comparison to what it normally is during non-pandemic times. But we still had 8 international exhibitors and 11 international stores.
Before Michael Baca got into the Western world, he managed a restaurant. Then he took his skills dealing with the public to the retail side of the Western wear business, managing a Western warehouse store, and subsequently moved to the brand side of the industry. Today, he's responsible for 3 of the major boot brands in the business: Tony Lama, Nakona, and Justin. He joins us today to chat about his journey through the business. Michael Baca, welcome to the Wisdom by WESA podcast.
Well, thank you.
I hope we have a good time. Hope you enjoy talking with us. Based on our conversation of a few hours ago, you actually got into the Western world business back in 2003 in retail management, and then progressed to where you are now. But let's talk a little bit about that path, if you would, going back to the Western warehouse world.
Oh, absolutely. It was a great experience coming from restaurant management into retail. Was a little bit of a different change of pace. But in all, just managing people, managing product. So I kind of transitioned into that position fairly well, I would think. It was a great experience. Got to learn buying habits and, end consumer enthusiasm, building a rapport with, these end consumers. And all in all, it's just a great learning experience for me.
Did you know much about the Western apparel, Western tack world before you walked into it? Was that part of your lifestyle?
Yes, it's definitely my lifestyle, but I didn't know anything. I'm from a small town south of Albuquerque, New Mexico, and ain't really ever been anywhere before that, but we were raised, on a farm, so to speak. We had animals, horses and cows, and pigs and chickens and rabbits even. And, I really enjoyed, the lifestyle of just being a cowboy and wearing the grub,
And so you move into it. How long were you in the retail side of the world?
About 2.5 years with Western Warehouse was about it. But I tell you what, I got to manage 3 of their different stores. One of them at a manager level and 2 of them at an assistant manager level, and really got to learn a lot in that period of time.
And then you move into the brand side of the business. And I'm assuming that knowing the retail side of the business was helpful when you began representing brands because you had an idea what the person on the other side of the desk or the other end of the phone was thinking when you made a sales call.
Absolutely. Whenever I got an opportunity to get on the wholesale side or do the branding side of things, I jumped in with both feet and just try to utilize the knowledge I gained from the retail side of things and use that towards the, distribution side of things and brand awareness side of things that the new jobs that I had in front of me. Yeah, absolutely. It was full blow.
Now, you were really working kind of as an independent until you came back in-house at Justin. Is that right?
Oh, yes, sir. I started with a position that was an independent job. I was able to carry multiple lines, and I did so carrying a primary hat line and then, several footwear lines along with that, like Anderson Bean and Rios and Mercedes and Hondo and even American hat. Sarah Talley hat was the big one that I carried for a long time now.
Okay. And then now you find yourself with probably the three biggest brands in the business. And what's that like?
Oh boy, it's exciting. I mean, I did a lot of work, with these medium tier brands and got out there and built my reputation on that in my territory. So whenever I was offered the position of Tony Lama in 2010, I took it, man. It was awesome to finally have a staple brand, a name like Tony Lama that's been around for 100 plus years, 110 plus years. They it was just awesome. Words are hard to explain how exciting it was to finally walk in the store, and you really do have an opportunity to change the footprint of that store, by the product I place in there and the knowledge that I pass along to the sales associates. It was really cool. Definitely.
Uh-huh.
I want to go back to the restaurant business for just 1 second. I know that has nothing to do with the Western industry, but from my understanding, that's one of the most difficult, one of the most difficult things to do, to work in a restaurant, run a restaurant, anything involving a restaurant. Am I right?
Oh, 100%. The hardest part with the restaurant business was managing the staff, believe it or not. There's the high turnaround with the staff. They call in sick, don't show up, and there's a lot of that. And then the customer service. Plate comes out a little too hot or a little too cold. It was just, definitely multitasking and many different factors.
Sure, and that's where I was going to go with that. I mean, even though restaurant means nothing Western, I think where it bridged the gap there is the customer service. Because if I've learned anything in life, anything you do, no matter what business you're working with or working for or running, is the need for great customer service. And you just mentioned the food may be hot or cold, so you had to come with an astronomical amount of customer service. How is that parlayed into working with three brands that not only are amazing brands, but they have longevity?
Oh, absolutely. In the restaurant side of things, I was always asked, to be pulled in multiple different directions. Now carrying these three brands, Justin, Tony Lama, and Nakona, it's really helped me separate the three brands in my presentation and in my and how I manage the three brands got to be all different. They mean different things to different customers. All three of them huge. It's a big responsibility, and the restaurant business definitely probably I would have to say I'd have to credit the restaurant business as to giving me the ability to manage those three brands.
Yeah,
definitely.
And I may be speaking somewhat out of turn, and maybe not as a whole, but I do feel like we've lost touch with a lot of customer service. Although I believe technology is really great, although I have used technology to the fullest extent, there's something to be said for that one-on-one personal customer service still.
Right. No, I agree with that. With the everybody in the world having a computer in their pocket, so to speak. it's really jeopardized that experience of having somebody walk up to you, be, kind and ask about the weather, whatever small talk it takes to create a conversation, and then go from there and try to figure out exactly what the customer wants or needs, or is just, maybe doesn't want or need, but just happy to look at. And, and then a lot of the times these customers are missing out on, excuse me, on quality relationships with the associates at the store level. When I was at the store level, many friends, I had a Rolodex of, 100 different customers that, each one of them specific to, what style of jeans they like, to what color of, shirts they like to wear. Sure. And, with the modern technologies, definitely put a hindrance on that, I would have to say, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's still out there. I mean, we still service the heck out of people.
Yeah. It seems like a perfect combination would be to keep those skills that you learn in the restaurant business with customer service, and add in all the technology we have. I mean, you have to have both at this point where we're at.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
What are your other secrets to the word longevity keeps coming up to me when I look at these brands? Mm-hmm. What equals longevity to you for these brands?
Well, starting with Justin, it's the second oldest boot company that's still manufacturing boots today. They've set a standard, and they've stood by that standard of making, quality goods here and afar, domestic quality goods, all other product, old world construction, a fit that doesn't change from boot to boot. So the guy that's wearing that, Justin, knows if he's a size 10 David or size 10D, he's a 10D, and he knows what pulling one up off the shelf is going to be the one for him. Always keeping up with modern trends and things that are happening within the industry itself. Like Aztec prints are pretty popular right now. Anything Southwestern is really popular. We're doing a lot of that. And then we're kicking it to the old school stuff as well. Some of that classic Roper looks or classic R-toe with the 4 walking heel that just screams, gentleman's boot. So we've stayed true to our values in that. So I think that's how Justin, Tony Lama, and Nakona have all been able to stay alive over 100 years for all, individually each one of those companies. With Justin at 1879, Tony Lama in 1911, and Nakona in 1925. That's 300 years. Just
it's really remarkable, because when we talk fashion, I mean, in my opinion, boots are part of fashion. So when we talk about the Western fashion industry or any fashion industry, trends come and go, brands come and go, and it's always, the next new thing. So it really says something that these brands have been around so long, and you're part of that. But I want to go back to something you just mentioned about that old school Roper style boot. Are we going to see that more? Is it going to come back? I mean, because we've kind of been in the square toe for a while.
Yes, definitely. Square toe is king right now. But I'll tell you what, and all over my territory, there's still people that want that Roper boot.
Really?
And we still make it. Yeah, we still make it. Still make it the same way we did, 30 or 40 years ago.
Let me tell you.
Believe it or not, the Roper's actually been around like 70 years, but
I believe
popularity was probably,
I'm not that
30
old.
or 40 years ago.
I'm not that old, but I do have 2 pair of Justin Ostrich Roper boots that I won't part with, because I said they're going to come back around sometime, and I've been holding them for quite some time. Right. But no, all jokes aside, I think it's very interesting to talk to somebody like you that have been involved in brands that have withstood the test of time and quality, and like I said, the ever-changing trends and new things.
Casey, I think he'd like to have you buy a 3rd pair.
Well, so I've had way more than 2 pair, but those are the 2 that I have saved.
Michael, I got a question for you. Let's go back to your retail days. If you were sitting down talking to a couple of young store managers or assistant managers, how would you tell them to take full advantage of everything that a really good brand has to offer in terms of helping them generate sales for their store? And do you think that they are taking full advantage of what you have to offer to a retailer when they're just starting out?
Absolutely. The first part of the question, with sitting down with young store managers and associates now, the benefits to the brand is knowing that we stand behind our product. We warranty the product. We're always on the cutting edge. We use the finest quality leathers and materials that we can source. And, the history of the brand, teaching them that, Justin has been around this long. It's, only moved a couple of times its factories, and, the same with Tony Lama, just explaining to them how, Tony Lama, was one of the first boot companies to start putting different colored tops on and different stitch patterns in the top quarter panels, and changing heel and toe combinations, and really innovated boot wearing as we know it today. And as far as, if I feel like they're taking advantage of me today, some are definitely. I think knowledge is king. And if the more you learn, the further along you'll get in this industry. You got to love it to be able to advance in it. So I try to tell these guys, love what you do. There's not every day that you get to make a friend out of selling them a pair of shoes or a pair of boots, so to speak. And whenever you do that correctly, you'll have a friend for life. And that's probably the most important part of it, is somebody walking into the store and saying, I talked to James last week and he really helped me out with these boots. I brought my mom now. Let's see if we can get her into a pair, or whatever, hypothetically speaking. So, yeah, I mean,
those are good answers, because I think, young people starting out in any business, but we'll stay with the Western wear retail business, they need the knowledge and the support and the marketing muscle that good brands provide to them. But you wonder sometimes if they're really taking full advantage of what you guys have on the table.
Yep. Oh, I'll wear them out. I'll talk to every one of them and wear them out until they don't want to hear me no more. But, you'll find them gems, the ones that, just can't wait to see you when you walk in the store. They're super excited. Hey, I talked to this customer last week. Is it true that our toes are coming back? Hey, yeah, actually they are, so it's pretty cool. You see the passion still alive. Our industry is such a small niche community, so to speak. And that's from our consumers all the way up to where we're at in the wholesale distribution side of things. It's hard to walk into a room and not know half the room, inside of our industry. It's pretty awesome.
Right. And of course, since this is the Wisdom by WESA podcast, we'd be remiss if we didn't chat just a little bit about how you see WESA assisting guys like you who are making their living selling the products that WESA represents.
Oh, yes, absolutely. WESA to me is a very pivotal tool that I use, not just at markets, but around markets. They've been able to, collaborate, all of us sales reps, the companies we work with, to our retailers, and make it really, really easy for them to navigate through and find what specific needs fit the specific store. So, without WESA being in place, there wouldn't be such a thing. And it's pretty awesome to know that WESA is turning 100 years old, and, that talk about longevity. There you go.
Well, and we agree with you. Listen, we appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today. It's always fun to talk to people who've grown up in various parts of the industry and see it from different perspectives. That's kind of what makes WESA the way it is. And I want to thank you for spending some time with us on the Wisdom by WESA show.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys for having me on.
The show notes and links from today's show can be found at the website wisdombywesa.com. And of course, we'd love to hear your feedback. There's a contact link on that website.
The Wisdom by WESA show will be published on the 15th and 30th of every month. You can listen on most of your favorite podcast players, and you can also listen on the Horse Radio Network app on your iOS or Android phone. You just search Horse Radio Network in the App Store. It's free and it's super easy to use. Be sure to visit all the great shows on the Horse Radio Network at horseradionetwork.com. Thanks for listening to the Wisdom by WESA podcast. WESA, where the industry meets.